Hello, this video is about the causes and effects of the French and Indian War. Now don't get confused, this war was not between the French and the Indians. The French and Indians for the most part were on the same side here, and they were going up against the British. And the French and Indian War is also sometimes called the 7 Years' War. Ultimately, there is one big main cause that led to the beginning of the French and Indian War, and that has to do with this area known as the Ohio River Valley, the Ohio River Basin. And both the French and British had a lot of interest in this territory, and they were conflicting between each other over who should have control over it. France had a lot of interest in the Ohio River Valley due to the fur trade, and the British were interested in the area because of the fertile soil that they needed for their farming. And if you're familiar with the British at this point, they're getting the colonies going, and at this point in history, there's almost over 1 million colonists in this area, and they're also looking to expand. Therefore, that's why they need this farming area. This is also the first war where we're going to see the beginning of George Washington, and although very successful in U.S. history, he is going to be unsuccessful in his first battle in the French and Indian War, where ultimately he is going to surrender at Fort Necessity. Now the effects are a little bit more than the causes for the French and Indian War. In 1763, we're going to see the official end of the war with the Treaty of Paris, and with this, France basically gets devastated here. They lose all their possessions in the New World, North America, with the exception of a few islands off the coast of Canada and down in the Caribbean. Britain will also gain control of Florida that Spain did have control over up until this point. Everything east of the Mississippi River will now be British territory, unless you ask the Native Americans, and then Spain will now control everything west of the Mississippi River. Now, we all know war is not cheap, and one way that countries make up for the deficit here with wartime money issues is by raising taxes. And what Britain's going to do here is not necessarily raise taxes, but they're going to add new taxes and put these on the colonists. And if you're familiar any with the American Revolutionary War, you know this is going to be one of the big things that lead up to it. So in the next video about the causes and effects of Revolutionary War, taxes is going to be one of the top things on the list. Last effect here for the French and Indian War is a proclamation made by the Crown, or Britain, called the Proclamation of 1763. And what they do here is they draw a line basically along the Appalachian Mountain Range here on the western side of the colonies, and they tell the colonists, you are not allowed to settle west of this line. What Britain is trying to do here is avoid any further conflict, in this case with any Native Americans that are still going to be in the Ohio River Valley and south, because they just went through a war. They don't want to get into any more battles, fights, skirmishes with anybody else. So they're trying to put that to an end, and that is done here by the Proclamation of 1763. And you can imagine how well the colonists take this as well. And again, also another effect that's ultimately going to lead up to the Revolutionary War. Thanks for watching this short and quick video on the causes and effects of the French and Indian War. As always, stay curious, stay inspired. Until next time, happy learning.